Welcome to this episode of Mommy Sea Star. This video is about gardening for empowerment. I've been gardening my whole life because of my mom. She used to plant really big vegetable gardens in our tiny yard in Glendora, and I watched her and learned to love watching the seeds grow and harvesting the vegetables. We used to have a little vegetable stand and sell the vegetables to the neighbors, and it was so much fun. And I've done it now for decades, and I found that gardening is really good for your mental health, especially now when the world seems to be going berserk. I think we need to all get back to the earth and back to what's real, and gardening can help us do that. And I'm going to show you my garden and how you can empower yourself to become more self-sufficient and also enjoy the process. You know, in the Garden of Eden, God gave us work, and it was before sin, and it was the work to work in his creation, and it was not a burden, it was a joy to do. And it's really interesting because I think we still have that feeling when we get out and garden. So come along with me and I'll show you my garden that I have now. So I'm going to walk you through my garden and give you another tour. I think it's been about 9 months since our last tour. I have a nice ASMR video with my son 9 months ago, and I just was watching him and enjoying that, seeing him and all the plants. It's much smaller, and so now we'll have a new tour. This is a nice umbrella plant, and this is one that you can propagate. So I've tried it a couple different ways. Take pieces from the end of the branches here, and I tried it in water and in the ground, and in my experience it works much better when you just put it right in the ground. See, that one's propagated too. So if you happen to have one of these, you can make more. They grow really big, but if you put it in a terracotta pot, then it stays a manageable size. I always see these things all around pallets, and there's a lot you can build with these. Some people put shelving on them, so you can make a vertical garden if you only have a limited space. Sun is super important if you're gonna grow vegetables. So a pallet like this is very useful for like a vertical garden, and then put little shelves, and then you could put the pots going up. They can all get sunlight. Now this is a loquat tree that I grew from a seed, and I have several of these. Look how tall they got. They're about 6 years old, but they have not grown any fruit yet. So a lot of my garden is not super edible, but I'll show you the edible plants. I have them out front. So if these ever grow fruit, I'll do another video. I got them from seeds. People ate the fruit and left the seeds around, so I grew them. Now this is another plant that can be grown from cuttings. If you take a piece off like this and plant it, look at these roots. They're just ready to grow. So I've given them to the neighbors before and grown some. I have a couple growing out front. This used to be a little house plant that my grandma gave me, but as soon as I put it outside, it just grew really huge. This is a willow tree, and a neighbor of ours gave me a really big branch with tons of roots, but it died back and I almost lost it completely. I took a branch about this size only, stripped all the leaves, and put it in water, and it rooted. So all my willow trees are from cuttings that are about this big. Willow trees are expensive. So if you know someone who has one, you can ask them to take a little cutting and then just root it in water. You can have your own. They have pretty invasive root systems, so just be careful where you plant them. If you plant them in the ground, don't plant them near any pipes. Now, many of my plants are rescues, meaning I found them on the curb and people were throwing them away. So this is one that I rescued, and I will link the video in the description. This is Rita. There were actually 3 of these plants in this pot, and 2 of them perished. But this third one, and happens to be the biggest one, she's growing really nicely outside. I had to change the dirt. Oh yes, my dear. I had to change all the dirt. It had like styrofoam and she was drying out. So I changed the dirt and I tried having her inside. She wasn't happy. So she's been growing nicely outside. So this is Rita. And this is my little shade garden. This is where it all started. When I moved here 10 years ago when we got married, I just had this area as my garden and that was it. And it was all shade plants that could be propagated. Spider plants are easy to break off the little baby ones and grow. And a lot of these are recycled mugs. Here's one of my mugs that broke, but I liked it, so I fixed it. This is an old Father's Day mug, but we didn't really like it in the house, so we used it as a pot. So it used to be bigger, but a lot of my pots have moved out front. So let's go out front. So I have what you might call a stressful life because I am an autism mom and our daughter has significant behaviors. I've found that one of the most effective ways to care for my mental health and to relax in between the behaviors is to have my garden. I'm really grateful I know how to garden, and really it's not that difficult if you're not too picky and just work with your environment. It's very, very soothing and relaxing. So you don't need a big space, but you need sun. And we rent here, so we don't even have our own soil. So I bought bags of soil. For example, this one right here is for specifically for cactus. So this was about $7 or so. And when you buy pots, you can have an urban garden like that. So let me show you some of this is our patron of our garden, St. Francis, loves God's creatures. This is lemon balm, and you can research lemon balm. There's all kinds of healing properties, and it tastes really good. You can put it directly in boiling water, or you can dry it and have it in the winter months. You just cut it back every year and it grows again. It smells like lemon. It's really nice. It's part of the mint family. I have 3 kinds of mint in the garden here. Now this thing that has bolted, it's called bolted when it sends up a huge stalk. Look at, and it's going to flower. It's chicory, and you can actually make tea from chicory. I have not tried it actually, but I hear it's very good and very healthy. Now since it's bolted, it's probably extra bitter, so I'm going to let it get its beautiful blue flowers, collect the seeds and grow some. So next year I will try some chicory tea. This is what cilantro looks like if you let it bolt. Isn't that pretty? And here are the seeds. And you can use cilantro seeds for cooking. And the leaves, before it bolts, the leaves of course taste delicious on all kinds of foods. So I'm saving the seeds. I actually got an album and I'm saving the seeds in the little album. I went thrifting and found it so I can label the names of the seeds and the date, and then I can save them for next year because my garden is very crowded right now. I don't have much more room for planting seeds. Even though it's May, it's a good time to plant seeds. This is oregano. Fresh oregano is so good with like quesadilla, pizza, pasta, and this is another one you could propagate. I've done that a couple times. Just put it in water, let it root, and you can plant it. And it smells really good. There's a lot of healing properties just by smelling the plants outside. It's really good for your brain. Now this one is orange mint, and my peppermint is really done for this year. We drank it every day while it was in season. And now the orange mint is having its season, so we're starting to drink that one. My husband and I have fresh tea every day after lunch, and that's our favorite time of the day. So there's still some peppermint right here. I have been taking what's left and drying it and putting it in a jar so that we can still have some when it's done growing. The mascot of our garden is the peacock, because you'll notice if you have a garden or when you get your garden started, it will attract a lot of animal visitors. And one of the species that comes here is the peacock. We have a family that lives in the neighborhood, and so they come and visit us. This is very special. I have a story about the blueberry. So my grandpa recently passed away, and we always had special meals together, the whole family. Well, one of the last times I saw him, he was eating blueberries, and I said, could I have one? Of course he said sure. So the last thing we ever ate together was blueberries. So I went out and I got a blueberry bush for the garden after that. And we've been putting the blueberries in the smoothies ever since, and they're quite good. And look at that, it's just beautiful. Antioxidants. So I want you to feel empowered to grow your garden and not feel so reliant on the craziness of the world. You can step back and start to cultivate your own garden and take care of yourself and your family. I put some little scripture verses in here. Into your hands I commend my spirit. You will redeem me, Lord, faithful God. That's what our Lord was quoting on the cross. The garden helps you slow down and put your spirit in the hands of the Lord and watch things grow. They grow and they die, and then you replant. This is thistle. I always look for thistle seeds because I have a fascination with the flowers, the thistle plants with all the spikes, and they attract butterflies. There's also healing properties, milk thistle, but I have not studied it yet. There's so much to learn, even about the plants that are here that I've planted over the years. I still have so much to learn. Now this is really interesting. These are flax seeds, and I'm going to do a video about the entire process of making threads from flax. This is where they're at right now, little sprouts. And that's a pumpkin plant. That will be a low growing plant, and these will grow up tall. So you want to pair your plants like that. They can share spaces. If some are tall and some are low growing, they can share. More lemon balm. Now tomatoes. Here's a very empowering thing that you can try. And tomatoes are a member of the nightshade family. You can tell by the flowers. And you can actually take pieces of the tomato plant and propagate them in water. So if you have the space, you can grow lots of food for your family just from one tomato plant. Now, I don't have a lot of room, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to start propagating some tomato plants. I'm looking forward to that. More cilantro. I'm going to show you how I harvest the seeds of the cilantro. So over here are the dried stalks. So after it bolts, I let it stay and dry so that I can get the seeds. And then I store the seeds in that album I told you about until I have room to plant them. I want to store the seeds in a dry place that's rather cool, and then you can plant them next year, or there's still room to plant it this year. Time, I should say. I don't have much room to plant them yet. Now, I will put a link in the description for this video because it's pretty fun. I just rescued this plant. It is an agave plant. It is specifically a century plant. And I named it Shark after I rescued it and brought it home. It was in the garbage. So if you keep your eyes open, you can actually find some really cool plants sometimes. Clippings of cactus, or like a whole plant like this just thrown away. And save it and bring it to your garden. So I'll put a link in the description for this, saving the agave plant. I'm really proud of it. Look at the spikes on it. And this is actually a food source. So you can learn how to cook the various parts and keep your family safe in case there should be a famine. I am not kidding. The Pima people, actually, the Native Americans, actually relied on this plant to keep their families safe during times of famine. So I don't know how it tastes, but it will keep people alive, and I think that's pretty darn awesome. Now this is a basil plant, and it's been growing for a while. Most of my basil plants, like the kind you get at the supermarket, don't last very long, maybe a few weeks or so, but this one, this purple one, let's see, is this the label? This purple one, I would say, is the very best basil that I've ever had. Magic Mountain. I would definitely recommend this one because it is growing really well after I planted it a year ago. I just cut back the flowers when they start to die a little bit. Cut them back and then more flowers sprout up. It's really beautiful. Definitely the best investment in terms of basil, and it smells amazing. Now, I have to show you my poppies. They're so beautiful. A friend of mine gave me the seeds during the fall, and I watered them and kept the squirrels out. The squirrels tried their best to dig them up, so I had to put cages all around. But I finally got some really nice big ones to grow. And these are the pods. They are like little packages of seeds. And the top parts open up, and then you can dump out the seeds and store them. So I'm gonna have poppies from now on. These are just gorgeous. When I visited the Czech Republic, they had fields and fields of these beautiful red poppies. And it just brings me back to that time when I see these. Absolutely gorgeous. So gardens and survival is not just about eating, but it's about beauty and taking care of your soul. It's just as important as taking care of your stomach, isn't it? Sweet Williams. Now these are almost done, but look at this. I think this is how, oh look, that's a big fly. I love insects, so you must always be prepared on my videos to see them. I love them. And these are like little pots full of seeds. Let me see if I can pick one for you. Yeah, let's see. Adjust it for you. See, it's like a little pot, and inside are the Sweet Williams seeds. I think it's stuff like this that gave rise to the stories about fairies. I just think that. Okay, you can imagine a little fairy just carrying around little pots of seeds like this. So the last thing I want to show you is this pot here. I have a potato plant growing. If you want to have some good results for food crops, just get some of those potatoes that you see at the supermarket, plant them in some sunny soil. They're very easy to grow, and then they're really fun to dig up. And another good plant for good results, strawberry plants. I saved these so that I could pick them with you right now. And I will bring them to my husband so he could put them in our afternoon smoothie. Strawberries spread. They like the warm weather. And so it's very easy to propagate them and grow them and get lots and lots of strawberries. So feel empowered. Start planting some things in the ground. Start growing your own food. You'll know what's on it. You won't have any chemicals on it. And you get the satisfaction of seeing beautiful things grow. Take care of your family. You can do it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have happy gardening. If you want to, leave me a comment. I love to read your comments. If you have any questions, I just love to hear from you. Have a blessed day. Bye.